is unions are going to take a more prominent role in the future for one simple reason. A lot of American workers are finding that their wages continue to get strapped lower and lower while CEO salaries are higher and higher. And the reality is that when you have the average CEO salary 500 times the average worker, and you have the hedge fund manager making 2,200 times that of the average worker, you're going to create a level of discontent that's going to create a huge appetite for unions. So unions are the natural result of workers finally saying, look, I can't go from a $70,000 a year job to a $15,000 a year job and feed my family of four. That's when unions are going to come back in roaring form.
Senator McCain.
I think the unions have played a very important role in the history of this country to improve the plight and conditions of laboring Americans. I think that, like many other monopolies, in some cases they have been serious successes. I come from a right-to-work state. If someone wants to join a union in my state, they're free to do so, but they are not compelled to do so. I think the key to unions is that any American has the right and privilege to join a union, but should never be forced to do so. And this latest ploy of the Democrats of signing people up in the most willy-nilly fashion is something that needs to be rejected, because it will not protect the rights of workers who do not wish to join a union.
Governor.
Senator McCain is sure right on that point. With regards to unions overall, there are some good ones and some not so good. The good ones are those that say, how can we do a better and better job helping our members have better and better skills and making sure that the enterprises they work in are more and more productive.
Can you name a few good unions?
Yeah, like the Carpenters Union, for instance, does a great job training their members and making them more effective and more efficient, and they get higher compensation as a result of it. There are also bad unions. I'm probably not going to name specific bad unions, but they're... But there are bad unions as well, who go too far and who forget that in order for them to be successful, the enterprise that they're involved with has to also be successful. And I mean, I remember my dad had a conversation long ago.
We have to go.
I'm just going to tell a story.
These are 30 seconds. I'm sorry, Governor. I have to cut you off. I'm sorry, Senator.
I don't have to pretend I'm a union member, because I have been a union member for some time. The Screen Actors Guild still counts, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I believe in the right of workers to band together for their own purposes, no question about that. I do not believe a person ought to have to be a member of the union to work. I do not believe that union bosses ought to use union dues for political purposes that their members don't necessarily agree with. And I do not agree with them denying union members the secret ballot. But other than that, I think that they've done a lot of good over the years for this country and will continue to do so.
Mayor?
Sure, I think unions have made a positive contribution. My grandmother was an early member of the United Ladies Garment Workers Union. And I don't know that our family would have gotten out of poverty without that. So I have a great appreciation.
Can you sing that song, Mr. Mayor?
However, pardon me?
Can you sing that song?
Can I sing the song? You don't want me to. You don't want me to sing.
Look for the union label.
You do not want me to sing a song. Everybody will run out of this auditorium if I begin singing a song. I have a terrible voice. But the reality is that there are good unions and there aren't good unions. Our free economy is like that. And the UAW reached a very responsible pact the other day. I don't know that you could have gotten a solution like that if you didn't have a vibrant union. But there are ones that aren't good unions, and I think the senator is correct. Okay. People should have a right to either belong to a union or not.
Congressman Hunter.
I could tell you a good union, the Steelworkers Union. When last year, Chris, we had a strike in a Kansas plant that made the tires for our Humvees. I called up the president of the Steelworkers and the president of Goodyear, and within a very short period of time, they were working together. They got that thing done for the good of the country. A union is a receptacle of power, just like management. But those folks love this country, they love their family, and they help to build a middle class, which has been important for America and for our party. We need to work with unions to win this presidency.
Senator Brownback.
Sure. They've been good for the United States. I think historically my mother was a union member. She was a mail carrier, a rural mail carrier. She called herself a postal packing grandma for a good period of time, and it helped her on health care. It helped helped her, I think, in some negotiations. I think there can be abuses, and I think you're seeing some of them taking place. Department of Labor is going through and looking at some of those abuses, and I think the government has to work aggressively to see that those don't take place and that there is effective oversight, which I don't think you see during a Democrat administration. I think that is good for union members to have that effective oversight.
Congressman Tancredo.
Sam, your mom, if she was a postal worker, believe me, she didn't need a union on top of civil service benefits. The fact is that...
Don't pick on my mother.
No, I'm sure she's a sweetheart. I'm sure she's a sweetheart, but she doesn't need them both.
My mother out of this.
That's really one of the problems, is that we do allow civil servants to also have union benefits, and that, believe me, that becomes a conflict. The creative conflict that occurs between unions and management is usually a good thing. When unions, I think, get off track is when they start to influence public policy, especially with regard to, need I say it, illegal immigration. allowing illegal immigration into the country because they want to fill up their ranks.
My mother is not an illegal immigrant.
That's why they can be problematic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator McCain, President Bush said GM and Ford need to produce a product that's relevant rather than look to Washington for help. Do you agree?
I'm sorry, I didn't. We're not hearing on. We're over in the cheap seats. We don't hear very well.
I'll repeat the question. Are you hearing me now? President Bush said that GM and Ford need to produce a product that's relevant rather than looking to Washington for help. Do you agree?
I agree with that, but I think we in Washington have an absolute requirement to bring health care costs down. I mentioned earlier the differential between Toyota and General Motors as far as the $1,700 worth $200. It's our responsibility to stop the cost